The Secret of the Sorcerer King. How do you kill a man that cannot be killed? That was the question. And if Sundiata could not find the answer, his whole army would die, and his people would be slaves forever. Sundiata was marching home at last. Behind him came the soldiers and horses the kind king of Mema had given him. But Sundiata knew that one army was not enough, not against a sorcerer. So as he marched, he did something wise. He sent out his messengers to all the other kings of the land. You see, Sundiata was not the only one who hated Soumaoro. Many kings had lost their lands to the sorcerer. Many had watched their villages burn. Many were tired of living in fear. They were just waiting for a brave leader to follow. And now that leader had come. One by one, the kings answered the call. From the east they came, from the west they came. Brave warriors, strong horsemen, and skilled hunters joined Sundiata's army. The small army grew bigger and bigger and bigger. Soon it was not just an army from one land, it was an army of many lands, all joined together as one, all marching toward the same enemy. You could feel it in the air. Something was changing. For years the people had walked with their heads down, too afraid to even speak the sorcerer's name. But now drums were beating again. Now men were sharpening their spears. Now mothers watched their sons ride off to fight, not with fear in their eyes, but with pride. The lion had come home, and he had woken up a whole nation that everyone thought was already dead. For the first time in a very long time, the people had hope. And so the battles began. Sundiata was a brilliant warrior. He was smart, he was brave. He led his men from the front, not from the back. And in battle after battle, he began to win. He pushed Soumaoro's soldiers back. He freed villages. He broke the chains off his people. And everywhere he went, more and more people rose up to fight beside the Lion of Mali. But then Sundiata met Soumaoro himself on the battlefield. And that was when everything changed. Sundiata's soldiers fired their arrows at the Sorcerer King, but the arrows bounced off him. They hit him and fell to the ground like little sticks. The soldiers threw their spears. The spears could not touch him. They struck him with swords, and the swords did nothing at all. It was just like the story said. No weapon could hurt Soumaoro. No blade could cut him. He could not be killed. And worse, the sorcerer used his dark magic. When Sundiata's men got close, Soumaoro would simply vanish and appear somewhere else. One moment he was in front of you, the next moment he was gone. The soldiers grew afraid. How can you win a war against a man that cannot be beaten? Sundiata pulled his army back, and that night he sat alone, deep in thought. He had the courage, he had the soldiers, he had the heart of a lion, but none of it mattered if Soumaoro could not be killed. There had to be a secret. Every strong thing has a weak spot. Even the mightiest tree can fall if you know exactly where to strike it. Sundiata knew that somewhere, somehow, Soumaoro had a weakness. He just had to find it. But how? The secret was locked away inside the sorcerer's own heart, and no one who got close to Soumaoro ever came back to tell the tale. No one except one person, and that person was about to change everything. Far away, inside Soumaoro's own home, there lived a woman named Nana Triban. And here is the part that will surprise you. Nana Triban was Sundiata's own half-sister. Years before, the cruel sorcerer had taken her away and forced her to live in his palace as his wife. For a long time she had lived in fear, trapped with no way out. But Nana Triban was clever, very, very clever, and she was brave too. She watched Soumaoro every single day. She listened, she waited, she made him believe that she loved him so that he would trust her. And slowly, bit by bit, she pulled his secrets out of him like pulling a thorn out of skin. And then, one day, she finally got him to tell her the one thing that mattered most. She asked him sweetly, "My king, you are so powerful, no weapon can hurt you. But surely, is there anything in this whole world that you are afraid of? Anything at all that could harm you?" And Soumaoro, feeling proud, feeling safe, feeling like nothing could ever stop him, laughed and told her his greatest secret. He told her that he could never be killed by a normal arrow or a sword or a spear. But there was one thing, only one thing in all the world that could end him. He could only be defeated by an arrow tipped with the spur of a pure white rooster. That was it. That was the secret. That tiny little thing was the weak spot of the unbeatable king. Nana Triban kept her face calm. She did not let him see the fire in her eyes. But inside, her heart was pounding, because now she held the one secret that could save her people and bring the Sorcerer King crashing down. So that very night she ran. In the dark, while the palace slept, the brave woman slipped away. She climbed onto a horse and rode through the night, faster than she had ever ridden in her life. She rode across rivers, she rode across plains. She did not stop, she did not rest. She had to reach Sundiata. She had to reach her brother before it was too late. And finally, after a long and frightening journey, she made it to Sundiata's camp. When Sundiata saw his sister, his heart leaped with joy. He thought he had lost her forever. But Nana Triban had not come just to say hello. She had come to win a war. She told him everything. She told him about the magic. She told him about Soumaoro's fear. And then she told him the secret that no one else in the world knew. "Brother," she said, "listen to me carefully. Your arrows are useless. Your swords are useless. But there is one thing the sorcerer fears. To kill Soumaoro, you must use an arrow tipped with the spur of a pure white rooster. That is the only way." Sundiata could not believe it. After all the battles, after all the fear, the answer was finally in his hands. Quickly, they found a pure white rooster. Carefully, they took the sharp spur from its foot, and gently they fixed it onto the tip of a single arrow. Then Sundiata held that little arrow up in the moonlight, and he looked at it for a long, long time. It looked so small, so plain, so weak, and yet this tiny arrow held the fate of his whole nation, the freedom of his people, the future of Mali. All of it rested on one shot, with one arrow, at one man who had never lost a battle in his life. Sundiata closed his hand around the arrow, and he made a promise to himself. The next time he met Soumaoro on the battlefield, he would not miss. Word spread through the camp like fire. The lion had a way to kill the sorcerer. Hope filled every heart. The soldiers sharpened their weapons, the drums began to beat, and both great armies began to move toward one final place, a place whose name would be remembered forever, a place called Kirina. There, on that field, the two greatest forces in the land would finally meet. The free man against the slave master, the lion against the sorcerer, good against evil, and only one of them would walk away alive. The biggest battle in the history of the land was about to begin. To be continued.